All right, Josh, let's talk a little bit about you're at the 2-year mark of your term as a mayor-president of Lafayette. Could you have envisioned what would have happened in the last 2 years as far as, there's been a lot that's happened in the 2-year period. Has it exceeded your expectations as far as what the job has?
So, yes. Has it exceeded it? Yes, but in a good way. So no one could have foreseen the 2 years from 2020 to 2022. I don't think anybody running could have foreseen that. But, I knew it would be a fun job. I knew it would be a very fulfilling job. I knew it would be a job where we can serve something greater than ourselves. But it's been better than what I could expect. I'm more motivated now about being the mayor-president of Lafayette than I was even 2 years ago when we were elected by the great people of Lafayette.
When you look at the pandemic, that happened. Obviously, that's something that not many people expected, and that changed the whole dynamic of everybody's life. And that also changed how you had to operate within the city and the parish. Talk about that a little bit.
So COVID-19 changed the entire world. Lafayette was no different. But I truly believe that we saw the best and the brightest and the greatest come out in Lafayette, Louisiana. You saw that in other municipalities across the country. I'm just so proud of our people. I'm so proud of our healthcare workers. We're so blessed to have two leading healthcare systems right here in Lafayette. But we have a people that's unmatched by no one. And so the greatness of Lafayette that was seen in 2020 was due to the people.
Yeah. Let's talk a little bit about some of the economics. I49 Corridor that going to run hopefully right through Lafayette. Are you in doing anything to try to expedite the building of that? Because that's huge.
Everything I can. So there's 3 levels at work right now. So you have the federal government, the state government, and the local government. And we're committed to connecting I49. Very thankful for Secretary Wilson in Baton Rouge working so hard, who lives in Lafayette, is very familiar with the project. Thankful for all of our stakeholders from Washington to, like I said, Baton Rouge. But here locally, what we want to do is we want to make sure that we do nothing to slow down the project. We want to make sure that we're answering engineering reports. We're making decisions at the local level. We're bargaining to make the best financial decisions for that project, and we've had some success with that. But if you think about spurring the economy, if you talk about just reigniting, connecting municipalities, public health emergency response, natural disaster response, national security response, connecting I49 here in Lafayette, Louisiana, it makes perfect sense. It's a great project. It's one of the largest unfunded infrastructure projects in North America. If you think about infrastructure needs in Louisiana, yes, we need a bridge in Baton Rouge. We need a bridge in Lake Charles. We need to look at I49 opportunities in the north. But I49 in Lafayette is the most shovel-ready. It's the closest to being shovel-ready. It's going to help ignite our economy, and it's going to do all the things that we just mentioned. So I'm very excited about it.
Well, traffic's been an issue with this city for years, way before you were even in the position. There's a lot of projects going on throughout the city, and this is really one of the few cities in the state, major cities, that doesn't really have an overpass to get traffic up off of Ambassador and Johnston into the interstate. There's been talk about that for years, and is there anything to that, or you think that'll ever come to be?
I sure hope it'll come to be. There's definitely talk about it. So going back to I49, that main artery, we got to connect I49. That's going to help out traffic. And then if we look back 20, 30 years, and it wasn't that long ago, Ambassador Caffrey was the quote-unquote loop. Now you have 733 further to the west and some other opportunities. There's definitely talk about making a formal loop. But if you look on a map, everything's congested. So when you look at that loop towards the western side of our city and unincorporated areas, these are tough discussions. Unless you want to go through neighborhoods, you're going to have to keep going further to the west. I do believe there's some opportunities, though, from Scott all the way looping around to the southwestern part of our city to connect, and all the way to the connector or to Highway 90. But we need to keep pushing that. But let's control what we can control. There's a lot of connectivity options that, while preserving neighborhood integrity in our city, that's going on. If you look at the northern side of our city, a lot of north-south avenues that we just approved that we're going to have funding for. North St. Antoine's one of them, connecting Louisiana Avenue that's been kind of put on pause for a little bit. But if you look at the connector, you look at Louisiana Avenue, you look at North St. Antoine, you look at the roundabouts that we have on these interchanges, you look at the state highways that we're partnering with Baton Rouge on to let traffic flow more efficiently, and then widening some of our major streets, College Saloon, Verrott School Road, other projects, Dulles. There's a lot of activity happening that's under the radar, and that's okay. And our traffic roads and bridge director understands that a good day is maybe no one complaining, and he understands that. But I'm very, very pleased with it. Also technology. Man, I'm just thrilled to death. Warren Abbey and those guys are doing a wonderful job. We call them hockey pucks. You can kind of see them on the road, using them as sensors to detect traffic. And basically, we want to get to a position in Lafayette where no one's sitting at a red light just waiting, and they're the only car there. So if we can prevent that, and we're making strides to do that, then that's a good day. But I am very optimistic about our future as it goes to engineering traffic.
How about LATCO coming back? That's huge. I mean, that was started here. It was here for years, left for a few years. Now it's coming back apparently next year. That's also huge for the city.
It is. LATCO's home is Lafayette, and its specific home is the Cajun Dome right here in the middle of Lafayette. So very excited about that. You know, oil and gas is still bread and butter for Lafayette, Louisiana. We have not abandoned that. We support oil and gas. We support the service-related jobs that go along with oil and gas, while at the same time diversifying our economy. But as it relates to LATCO, so proud to have those guys back. They were gone in 2019. They were in New Orleans, so coming back to the Cajun Dome was a thrill. So very, very proud of our stakeholders that were involved in that.
A few years, well, 96, when they consolidated the mayor-president position. What's your take on that? You've been mayor-president for 2 years. Do you think that Lafayette should have its own separate mayor or keep it together like it is? Because it's a lot.
Yeah, so the voters voted to consolidate government, not just the mayor-president. So not just the parish, so the two governments together. And so ultimately your question is, should we deconsolidate or should we stay consolidated? And I'll tell you, as a guy that was once a supporter, we should deconsolidate. Lafayette should have its own mayor. And I don't fault anybody for having that opinion, and it's a good question to ask. Matter of fact, it's a healthy question to ask. We should all ask that here in Lafayette. I've had the benefit of looking at the books. I've had the benefit of looking at the budget. I've had the benefit of looking at efficiencies and how can we do more with less. And look, consolidation works for Lafayette. It may not work for other parishes. It may not work for other city-parish combinations, but for us, we have a great thing going on here. You know, you deconsolidate, you're going to have to ask some questions here in the city of Lafayette. Which millages do we need to raise? Which taxes do we need to raise? Or which services do we need to cut? There's this misconception that the city is subsidizing the parish. That is absolutely false. And we go through an independent audit each year, and we should go through an independent audit selected by the councils, now the parish and the city council. And there's a reason for that, and that's to make sure that city money is paid for city purposes, and it's paid for things that it's supposed to pay for, and the parish pays for expenditures that the parish pays for. But I'll tell you, the city of Lafayette is in a good position to have its parish president reside and govern over Lafayette.
Yeah, that's an interesting take there. What's your take on I know you've been asked a lot about the police position and the direction of the police department. You had to make a move. You fired Glover last month. You brought in Wayne Griffin. I don't know where is the timetable on that case? Do you know?
So right now it's November 2021. So Chief Glover served as our chief for about 10 months, and we had to make a decision. Made that decision to move on. We brought in interim chief Wayne Griffin. As of right now, there were allegations made. We take those very serious. You know, both situations are personnel matter. There are some pieces of information out in the public that were disclosed that we choose to take the responsible route and not opine on it, at least not right now. It wouldn't be appropriate. It wouldn't be the right thing to do. We have a duty to protect Lafayette. We also have a duty to protect our employees, both our current employees and our former employees. So it'll work itself out. Now, these allegations are substantiated, then he will not be our chief of police. If they aren't substantiated, then chances are he will be our chief of police.
You've had a lot of turnover at that position, and I think people kind of want to know what direction you're going from here. I know you'd like to get some stability in that position, but why do you think there's been so much turnover with that? I mean, has it been so hard to find the right person for that position?
So I want to clarify. My interest is stability in the department. Mm-hmm. So one or two or three or more positions will not necessarily mean there's instability in the department. So there's absolutely stability in our police department. Very proud of our police department. If you're in the business of committing crime, Lafayette, Louisiana is not the place to be. Our officers will fight crime, they will protect life, they will protect property, and they will enforce the law. And I will find a chief of police that will be consistent in that measure.
How is the morale right now, would you say, within the police department because of all the changes at the top?
Well, because of all the changes, I've been a lot more involved as far as checking on morale. And so you're right in asking that. Morale's high. Morale's high. These guys are professionals. These guys and gals down the street, man, I'm so proud of them. You know, when there's danger, when there's a rough spot in our life, everybody's running away. These guys run to the fire. These guys run to the fight. And I couldn't be more proud of them. I saw them in action a lot over the last 2 years. And We have nothing to worry about with the police department. We can always get better, and that's why some changes were made, but we'll make them, and we'll be all right.
You know, every city has issues with crime. That's kind of like, that's just the world we live in. Lafayette has always been known as being a very friendly place, one of the happiest places. I know that, you know, the crime situation is there, but you always want to keep that to a bare minimum. Like you said, making moves to show that, hey, the criminals, we're not going to deal with this. Do you want more men on the streets and more officers? Is that kind of what you feel like a visibility standpoint is better for the city?
Well, it's a combination. And I will tell you that today, again, it's November 2021, and I don't know when this is airing, that's why I'm saying that. Yeah. But today there are more officers on the street than there have been in a very, very long time. And that was decisions made by our current chain of command that's in place, even temporary as it may be, but I'm very proud of that. But it is a combination. Policing's changing, and we're okay with that because society changes. We support community policing. We support community involvement. The best folks to report a crime or even enforce the law is to have boots on ground, and that could be the regular old citizens. You know, people like you and me, just see something, say something, calling the police department. Now, to do that, there has to be trust, and we take that sacred trust very serious here with what has been entrusted with the administration, and one department of that administration is the police department, and I know that they take it very serious as well. So we got to continue to build trust, we got to continue to be present, and we have to continue to enforce the law, and that's exactly what we'll do in Lafayette.
What, do you have a timetable? I mean, depending on the Griffin situation, do you have a timetable on when you'd like to have someone in that position?
I'd love to have it as soon as possible, but it is dependent on what happens with our interim chief. Again, if the claims are substantiated, that's very serious. He will not be the chief of police of Lafayette. If the claims are not substantiated, we'll analyze everything. It's an independent review. It's our internal affairs coupled with, we brought in an independent lawyer just to oversee everything. Want to make sure everything's independent, no emotion, no subjectivity, purely objectivity. We want facts to dictate. We want science to dictate, and we'll make the appropriate decision. But the police department is absolutely on the right track, and I'm proud of them.
Let's talk about North Lafayette. Obviously, that has been a talk of the town for years about getting more economic movement in that area, but that's a challenge. I want to ask you, give you a chance to talk to the people of North Lafayette and say, hey, what's your take on that? Because I've heard some people say, well, they don't care about us on the north side. And I just want you to set the record straight on that.
Sure, actions speak louder than words. There's been a lot of people talking in our community for 20, 30 years about, how they want to help the north side. There's also people that will say there's challenges. There's no challenges. We got a great, great city. We have a great parish. The north side is part of that. I'm excited about it. If you're thinking about it from a development standpoint, you're typically on high ground. You have good drainage. You have good infrastructure. Some of that infrastructure needs to be improved, and we're making those improvements. I forgot what the number is on the budget, but if you look at operating capital budget, our bonding budget, even investments through ARPA and other initiatives we've worked with the legislature on, there's more investment in Northside Lafayette now, and go look at the budget, it's all public, than probably last 20, 30 years combined. I'm excited. I mean, look at investments in quality of life. Brown Park, right off the interstate, right in the heart of Northside. We're investing more than $10 million into that facility. Moore Park, again, roughly $10 million into that facility. Look at the drainage work we've done in the north side where there is drainage issues. Now that's both in the city limits, and then you have neighborhoods like Derby Heights, which is right outside the city limits, but it's close enough to that area where it's an impact in our comprehensive plan. I know our people in Lafayette. Our people will make it happen. We just got to get government in a position where we get out of their way, but we support them where we need to support. And that's infrastructure, and put all of our small business owners in a position to succeed from a regulatory standpoint, to a law enforcement standpoint, to an infrastructure standpoint. But there is a lot of energy in the north side. There's a lot of positive energy in the north side. And I would give it 3 to 5 years, and you might come back and we might be having a different discussion. There's also investments that this program, ETRT, around the Evangeline Thruway Corridor. And look at the investment. This, again, it's all in our budget. It's a 5-year plan that people have been talking about for a while. Well, we want action, okay? So this 5-year plan, we're on schedule to get done in 4 years. We want to consolidate that first year one and year two, specifically year one where you had a lot of engineering, a lot of architect, a lot of design work. If we can lump those two together and expedite, which we will, we're going to see a lot more fruition to our work. I'm telling you, I'm very enthusiastic about this.
Do you see really the best chance for North Lafayette to grow economically is through small business? That's your best shot. I mean, it's going to be difficult to get a big business to relocate or start up there, but small businesses can really flourish.
Oh, I think it's a combo, and we've seen that. So just right up the north, just north of the north side of the Amazon Fulfillment Center is a big opportunity that's going to, especially as we increased our transit, our public transit to that facility from the city of Lafayette to the Amazon Fulfillment Center. That's a big opportunity. We had another fulfillment center right off the old Walmart building off the thruway. That's kind of a bigger box type, not box store, but bigger operation. I think roughly 300 to 500 employees, direct and indirect. And then the backbone of America's small business. So that we're not going to exclude those opportunities with the north side. But you know, hey, I'm blessed to be the mayor of the north side, south side, east side, west side, any side. I look at it as we're one side. And until we all have that mentality, we're going to have these factions, but we're closer to being unified than we're not. We're closer now than we have ever been. And you know, I can't control a few folks saying a few things, but I'm out there. I talk to people. I love every single person in this community, and I know the brightness of our days are ahead. I promise you that.
What are your goals? Some of your goals for the next 2 years of your term? I mean, you have any specific goals that you'd like to talk about?
Continue on the course. Look, we still got to address drainage. We're making tremendous strides on drainage from a watershed as it appears, or as it relates to Lafayette. We're almost at the point where we can focus not just on getting water out of buildings and homes, but let's take to that next level and let's focus on some streets and things like that, because you have to prioritize. So you got to continue with drainage. You got to make investments in as far as our infrastructure and roads and engineering traffic, which we kind of talked about. We got to continue to focus on our public safety. We will fund this police department, we'll fund this fire department, and we're going to put them in a position to succeed, not just for the mission today, but the missions of the future. And we're going to find ways to bring jobs back to Lafayette, and we're doing that. We're working with stakeholders such as LEDA, we're working with stakeholders such as LCVC, Cajun Dome, our university. What an asset, right in our backyard, right in our backyard in Lafayette. So we do those 4 things, we continue with that, we're going to continue on the pace we're in.
Well, Lafayette's been trying to diversify, not just have all oil and gas for years. And because you see what's happened, if oil and gas is down, the city can't survive. Now you're seeing it with tech, medical field, all that. You continue to see that in the next couple of years. Anything new that you can envision possibly coming to the city?
We need to keep doing that. So oil and gas, service related, keep pushing on that. Keep pushing the tech sector. Keep pushing medical, especially as we're the hub and we're becoming even more of a hub. Our biggest opportunity right now is manufacturing. And if you look at sites, 3 pre-certified sites through LED over there in Broussard, Louisiana, which benefits the entire region, you know, if we can focus on manufacturing will add to the other 3 sectors that you mentioned.
You're halfway through your first term. Any thoughts about getting through this term and maybe running for a second term, or are you still a long way from that?
We're running for re-election.
Oh, you're going to say it right now?
100%.
Okay.
100%. I love this. I love Lafayette. Love the direction we're going. Very proud of this, the success we've had in a very short period of time. I'm humbled by the support that we've had, and we feel very good, and we love what we do.